Good evening, everybody. Today is Monday, October 18th, 2021, and this is a Moscow City regular council meeting. If you would please all rise, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, with that, we will move on to item number 1, which is our consent agenda.
I would move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, I heard 2, but I'm going to give it to Gina.
Great.
Got a motion by Art and a second by Gina to approve the consent agenda as it is stated. I'll start the roll with Brandy.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
And Maureen.
Aye.
Okay. Item number 2, staff recognition report. Gary Reedner, do you have something for us this evening, sir?
We have 2 items tonight. Chief Fry would like to make a comment first.
Welcome, Chief Fry.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, if I could get Officer Nunes and Officer Waters, please come up here. Early on the morning of Saturday, September 25th, 2021, Pullman police officers located 2 gunshot victims on the Pullman College Hill. Moscow Police Department quickly provided assistance in this incident, with Officer Mitch Nunes and Jay Waters responding to assist. While they were there, they found one of the victims who had been shot, and Officer Waters provided security during that time while Officer Nunes played an instrumental role in working on the shooting victim, Brandon Gray, who had sustained life-threatening injuries. While Nunes was on scene, I watched his body camera, and he continued to work on the victim, packed gunshot wounds with gauze, applied tourniquets, and continued to give direction to other officers in this life-saving event. Until you see one of these events or are part of one of these events, you don't understand the complexity of them and the tenseness that goes on with those. Both officers were very calm through the whole thing, very professional. Once the victim was removed by the ambulance, they went back and started searching for the suspect in this incident, clearing buildings, clearing cars, and doing what they are trained to do. So tonight, I do want to recognize both of those officers for their life-saving events with our life-saving award to each of them. Both officers played a vital role in that individual still being alive today, and we want to commend the officers for that and commend them for everything that they did that night and helped our fellow city across the way. We play these roles constantly where we assist them and they assist us, but at this time we were there to provide assistance to them, and these guys did a great job, so I want to commend them for that.
Well, Chief Officer Waters and Officer Nunes, this is exemplary what our officers do here. And one of the neat things about it, and some folks may say, well, why in the world would we send officers over to do something in Pullman? It's because we work together on the police here in communities. We do the same thing down in the valley as well with Clarkston and Lewiston. And we have these memorandums of understanding whenever there's an emergency that happens. One community will help another community, and that's a big deal for this whole area for us, and it should be. Sorry, folks. One of my pet peeves is when I start a meeting not to have my damn phone off. So I'll take chastise on that. But anyway, this is a big deal. Both you officers should be commended because you never know when you're in a shooting situation like that. And you have an active shooter around, you don't know where that person may or may not be, and so it could be a very scary thing until the details are all sorted out and worked through. So,
yeah, I just want to say again, they did a great job. You all would be very proud of their professionalism and their calmness through that time. It's actually a very stressful event, so they do deserve to be commended.
Another round of applause for you, officers. Thank you very much. Okay, Gary, what,
Next, we have our Parks Manager, David Schott, would like to make a presentation on your behalf, Your Honor.
okay. Good evening, David, and I see we have Greg Morrison with us as well.
We do. Mayor Lambert, members of council, thank you very much for having me tonight. It's my pleasure to recognize Dr. Damon Burton for his 30 years of remarkable service to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Damon has resigned his position with the Parks and Recreation Commission and has recently moved to Michigan. I first met Damon nearly 6 years ago when he was part of the interview panel when I interviewed for this position. So, in the nearly 6 years of working with Damon on the Parks and Rec Commission, I was truly impressed with his passion and knowledge of parks and recreation. His historical knowledge of parks and recreation after decades of service was a fantastic resource for me and the other commission members. In his time, Damon chaired the Parks and Recreation Commission for several years and was part of the pool committee, resulting in the construction of the Hamilton Low Aquatic Center in 2000. This included a very difficult decision to close the previous old pool at Gormley Park. The Hamilton Fund Dream Team, resulting in the construction of the HERC, Hamilton Indoor Recreation Center in 2004. He also served on the citizen planning panel for the newly developed Moscow School District Community Playfields Complex. These were just to mention a few things that he accomplished in his tenure with the Parks and Recreation Commission. As a longtime member of the commission, Damon served as a mentor to new commission members and to myself. Outside of the commission, he showed a passion for parks and recreation, demonstrating his passion for Parks and Recreation Commission. He coached 36 seasons of youth sports for Parks and Recreation, including soccer, flag football, and softball. The Parks and Recreation Department, the City of Moscow, and the citizens of Moscow are better served because of the years of relentless, selfless volunteer service that David has given. Because of Damon's active, passionate, long-term service spanning decades, Mayor Lambert would like to present Dr. Damon Burton this key to the city.
Right here, Dave. Were you done speaking? Yes, I am. Greg, did you have any remarks you wanted to add with Damon?
Yeah, a couple things. When I got here in 1990, the fall of 90, Damon was one of the first people that I met. I finished my master's here at the University of Idaho and jumped right into being an intramural director. With Damon's help, got us going with summertime activities. My job went from a 9-month to a 12-month. From that time on until I started with the city in 2004, Damon was always by my side, always helping me out, making sure that I know which way is up. And at this point, in what his career was, helped us so much. He helped me find officials when I was begging and pleading for them for the Parks and Recreation. So Damon is just one of those people that always was there for you. Thank you.
This key to the city, like I share with you guys, Damon and I go back well over 3 decades ago. Neither one of us had any gray hair, and we had a lot of youth looking to us both in vitality, you know, and I still got a few plugs in me left, but not what I used to have. However, Damon, I just have a feeling that the kind of guy he was, and I wish I would have known sooner before he left our town so I could give him this city the key. I've only given 2 of these. This is the second one in the 8 years I've been the mayor that I've given out. The first one was to Bruce Pittman. And so this is a rare thing that a mayor gives out, and should be, because it's a very distinctive honor. But he served for 30 years, and so many things he did with youth sports is absolutely recognizable. So Anyway, I wanted to make a big deal out of it because it is a big deal for us to have anybody on a commission for that long, and put that many years and decades of work into helping the youth of this city and making our city just a better place to live. So here you go, I'll give you this back so you can make sure you get that. Oh, there's a pen.
Thank you, Mayor Lambert.
Anything further, Gary?
No, sir.
Okay, with that, we're going to go right, we're going to talk about some commissions because I have some appointments to speak about tonight that I need approval on. And before I get going on, there's a couple of these appointments. The expiration date is 12/31 of 2021, which just comes up in a few months. And these folks are taking over for slots for somebody that has either resigned a position or moved on for other reasons. And my intentions are, is at the end of 21, is to appoint them for whatever that full term is, which is usually 4 years, with the exception of the high school voting, non-voting. That'll be a 1 year that'll end in 2022. So I just wanted to let the council know that. The first one is Richard Gaylor on Parks and Rec Commission, 12/31/2021. Al Popolowski, Sustainable Environment Commission, expiration 12/31 of 2023. Janine Estlick, Moscow Pass Commission, expiration 12/31 of 2023. And Jackson Landis, Parks and Rec Commission, is a high school non-voting, as I said, will end in 12/31/2021, which I plan on extending to the end of 22. And with that, I would entertain a motion to approve this slate.
I move approval of the slate of potential commissioners.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Art and a second by Maureen to approve these 4 candidates, and I'll start the roll with Maureen.
Aye.
Gina?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
And Brandy?
Aye.
Okay, with that, what I usually love to do is give anybody that comes on these commissions, because we just heard from somebody that spent 30 years on a commission, which is amazing, and I've got some folks out here. I know Al Popolowski is out here, so Al, would you like to have a few minutes to visit with us? Tell us a little bit about yourself and
Thanks, Mayor Lambert and council. Just a slight more introduction of myself. My wife Diane Prowack and I moved here in 1988, and we really didn't have any intention of staying here permanently, and such a wonderful place. Here we are still, and I've been involved in environmental issues here on the Palouse for quite a while through the Sierra Club, but also in the state of Idaho in the Idaho chapter of the Sierra Club. And I really am looking forward to this opportunity to be able to work on the 2 really major sustainability issues here in the Palouse. Number 1, of course, climate change. Everybody needs to address climate change. That's not unique to Moscow. But secondly, the aquifer. And the aquifer is really a major problem. It's our water supply. It's dropping, and it's not going to be easy to address that. So again, I appreciate the opportunity and really look forward to helping with these problems with Moscow and the Sustainable Environment Commission.
thank you, Al. Now, I know Rich is not here tonight. Janine, I don't believe.
she is.
Janine,
Yep,
please
right
come
there.
up, Janine. On the Moscow Pathway Commissions. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Janine.
Mayor and council. I am new back to Moscow. I've started a master's program at the U of I, and I am looking to get on the Pathways Commission. I'm very passionate about cycling and outdoor activities, and just wanted to get more involved within the Moscow community. I was in the AmeriCorps a few years back here in the city at the farmers market, and so I really enjoyed being involved in the city that way. So just looking forward to getting involved in more projects that have to do with pathways and learning more about the projects and systems.
Thank you, Janine. And I don't believe we have Jackson here. I did not see.
I think he's right
Oh,
there.
Jackson, you're right up front. Sorry, Jackson. I should have been looking for the youngest guy out there. But these old eyes don't see that well sometimes. But how are you doing? Tell us a little bit about you.
I'm doing great. Thank you for appointing me. Thanks for having this position open for high school students. It's a great way for high school students to serve the city. Not many kids get this opportunity to do this. I have done several years of baseball here, so I've been in at the play fields on Joseph Street, and I've also spent a lot of time just at parks with friends, and so I thought that it'd be great to have someone who uses the park programs and facilities to be on the commission.
Well, awesome. Well, young man, we appreciate anybody that, especially the youth, have been on our various commissions, because this will start a lifetime of volunteerism that you'll be beginning now, and it will continue through your entire career and your life. So good for you, and thank you very much.
Mayor?
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
I believe this is our second Landis that volunteered this year to be on commissions. Am I correct? Yeah.
So see, there you have it. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Let's give these folks a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen. It's so important for our city as a whole to have lots and lots of volunteers, and it's pretty neat to see young people step up to the plate, and as well as you see some of those retire like Damon did, that spent 3 decades working with kids and doing the job that he did. And so it's an amazing thing for me. So I certainly do not take what commission members do. It's just a very important thing for our city, and this council up here feels the same way. So thank you again for your service to come. Okay, with that, I'm going to move on to item number 4, which is public comment and mayor's response period. I usually give 15 minutes on this. We do have 3 public hearings this evening, and people will get a chance to talk during each one of those public hearings if any of you were here for that. So as long as something is not talked about that's on tonight's agenda, or something that's in front of Planning and Zoning and or the Board of Adjustment, please come up, give us your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Howdy, y'all. I am Thomas Carpenter. I live at 504 South Asbury Street. I'm currently a student at New St. Andrews College. The reason I'm up here is because I'm helping host the candidate forum the NSA is doing later this week on Friday. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the candidates for RSVPing. We are very grateful that you all plan to be there, and look forward to hearing from you all. I would also like to extend the invite to you, Mr. Mayor, councilors, city staff, and anybody else here who's present tonight to attend as well. It'll be held at the NSA North Campus, which, as you all probably know, is the old CJ's building, upstairs, so the door right on Main Street. Go up the stairs, and it'll be starting at 3 o'clock. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you. Are there others who would like to come up and address us before we move on? Okay, well, with that, we're going to move on to item number 5. Final decision of the appeal conditional use permit at 1400 East 7th Street. Amy Hendricks is with us. Amy, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well, Mayor. Thank you for having me and council. I'll keep this brief. I don't have a presentation tonight, as this should be relatively straightforward. As you recall, the October 4th meeting, council heard the appeal of parallel infrastructure regarding the denial this Board of Adjustment made for a cell tower at 1400 East 7th Street. At that meeting, the council found that the new relevant information presented on remand did ultimately satisfy criterion 2 of the relevant criterion standards, and ultimately decided to reverse the decision of the Board of Adjustment and approve the conditional use permit with the condition that the applicant remove any religious insignia from the design of the structure. Enclosed in your packet tonight is the written decision for your consideration, and I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Questions for Amy? Maureen?
I asked this at the last time, but I think I'm still confused because the record appears to have some conflicting information in it, and the tower, it was asserted specifically that the tower can hold 3 different companies' stuff.
Correct.
But in some point, there's something in the record, from the previous record that we looked at, that actually said it can't hold it. So I just want to make sure that we are voting on something that is clear, that the person did stand up yesterday time and said it was 3. I go back and look at the record, and I know that it varied, there was variations on that, and some said they couldn't hold 3. So you could assure me that we voted on that because we thought it could hold 3, and if it doesn't, then that's a problem for me.
Absolutely. As the record states, I believe it says that the applicant's preference wasn't the 3-legged tower, as it limits the way that they can configure, but it does fit their needs, and it is something that does work for them as far as carrying 3 different carriers.
Okay.
Other questions for Amy? Okay.
Let me ask you another question on that then. Does it mean it's going to be difficult getting a 3rd carrier in here?
I can't necessarily speak to that. I think that that's something that they negotiate with their individual carriers. But it is feasible for it to have 3 carriers, which is all the code requires.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Art?
I move approval of the written decision on this matter.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Art and a second by Gina to approve the proposed written decision. Do I have any further conversation before I take action? I will start the roll with Maureen.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Art. And Brandy.
Aye.
Okay. We will move on to item number 6, which is public hearing Southgate 3rd edition proposed rezone. We've got Mike Ray with us this evening. Mike, good evening.
Evening, Your Honor, council members. So before you tonight, we have a public hearing. This is the proposed rezone of a 7.56 acre area within Southgate 3rd Edition, generally located east of the terminuses of Granville and Castleford Streets within the city. The applicant is Mike Salisbury, and he's proposing rezone of this property. It is within Phase 3 of Southgate 3rd Edition. And the proposal is a rezone from the R1, R2, and R3 zones, so low-density, single-family residential, moderate-density residential, and medium-density residential to the, just exclusively the medium-density residential R3 zone. So just to familiarize yourselves with the property, it's highlighted in red at the center of your screen. So this would be the next phase of Southgate 3rd Edition. You can see the property lines there. And the extension of Granville Street looping around to combine with Castleford. Kismet Court, currently in a cul-de-sac configuration. So that is currently platted but hasn't been developed to this point. Phase 2 within Southgate 3rd has been constructed up to the property boundary there. Primarily surrounded by rural residential to the north and to the east. That's U of I Parker Farm there. A child care facility to the north. This is Milton Arthur Park, City Park, which has been developed here to the north. Halfway extension of Sutton Street, which will eventually connect to Robinson Park Road as part of Phase 3 of Southgate 3rd. And then mainly just single-family residential development to the west within Southgate 3rd, Phase 1 and Phase 2. Just a closer view of that property, and then bringing up the current comprehensive plan land use designation, which is currently designated as auto urban residential. All the property surrounding this property is primarily auto urban residential as well, except for Milton Arthur Park, which is parks and open space designation, and then the child care facility, which is the former location of the Slurp and Burp, is currently suburban commercial. What the AUR designation states, it's primarily single family, ranging from 7,000 to 11,000 square feet in size for the lots, typically more isolated, requiring automobile transportation, low to moderate density residential uses, densities between 3 to 6 units per acre, could include a mixture of detached single family, twin home, and townhouse residential dwellings. And then it points to the R1, R2, or R3 zones as being the most appropriate for that designation. Brings us to the current zoning configuration of the area. You can see the mixture of R1, R2, and R3. The R3 would be more of the gold designation, purple is R1, and then you have a sliver here on the north side of Castleford Street, which is the R2 zone. Proposal before you tonight is to rezone the entire Phase 3 as the R3 zoning district. Looking at what the zoning code states about the R3 zone, it's increase in density over R2, allows for different types of housing types to be constructed. Appropriate where activity levels are moderate, terrain permits construction of somewhat larger structures, and where public systems and neighborhood facilities can accommodate a greater intensity of land use, guided by the comp plan. And then really a range of residential uses allowed in that zone, single family, detached. You have two-family dwellings, twin homes, townhouses, some urban ag, group and child care facilities, and public parks and recreation facilities as well. I would note, as part of the 2008 rezone for Southgate 3rd Edition, there was a condition placed upon that ordinance that limited the current R3 zone to no more than detached single-family dwellings, with the exception of lots 6, 7, 8 of Block 2, which is within Chelsea Court cul-de-sac to the west within Phase 2. Just because of the nature of adjacent streets, it was appropriate to designate those R3 and allow duplexes on those properties just for the dual access. And so those are the only lots within this R3 zone that would allow two-family dwellings. The three lots, yeah, we just stated that. So looking at kind of access streets and traffic in the area, Granville and Castleford are local neighborhood streets. They're 28-foot wide roadways, curb gutter sidewalks on both sides of the street. There is parking on one side. And then water, sanitary, sewer, storm are extended to this property within those two public streets. Planning and Zoning Commission did conduct the public hearing. It occurred in August 11th of this year. They recommended approval of the rezone request, carrying over that condition from 2008 so that the proposed R3 zone be limited to no more than detached single-family dwellings. Brings us to staff's recommendation before the council is to conduct the public hearing and, upon consideration of any testimony received, approve the proposed zoning ordinance under suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings, and that it be read by title, published by summary, and, as well as adopting the Planning and Zoning Commission's reasoned statement of relevant criteria. And certainly try to answer any questions that you had.
Questions for Michael before we open, Brandy, I'll start with you.
With the prior requirement that, the condition that was there on the R3, was that for what is already currently zoned as R3?
Yeah, everything that's currently
That
zoned
portion.
R3 within Southgate 3rd would have that limitation on it.
With the exception of those lots that were listed?
Correct.
Am I, okay, and
Yeah.
then the new recommendation that came from planning and zoning was, that would apply to all the new?
Carry that limitation
Okay.
on. So yeah, currently, right now, this R3 zone, and it does extend into this property. There's a portion that's currently R3, currently has that limitation on it. I believe these were the 3 lots that were allowed to be duplexes just because of the topography there. Castleford Street sits at a higher elevation. You're able to do a top-down duplex and enter off of Castleford for 1 unit, and then Chelsea Court to enter off of that cul-de-sac there. And so it was just conducive to that layout. And so those were the lots that were permitted. But yeah, if the proposal for the rezone is to be approved tonight, then with that condition, that would be carried over to the remainder of the property.
All right. Might be jumping the gun or mixing and matching here, but it might have some effect for our next public hearings. But the R3 zone is, you stated, was between 7,000 and 11,000 square feet. But some of these lots in the R3 zone are proposed to be upwards of 59,000. Does that still fit within the R3 requirements?
Well, it certainly does. We don't have a maximum size for the R3 zone. And certainly some of those properties, we'll view the subdivisions in the next phase here, but certainly can be further subdivided if subdivision plat were to move forward in the future to allow, greater density at that time.
So there's no conflict with the zonings as it stands?
No, the zoning would just look at whether or not it's appropriate for the area and consistent with the comprehensive plan, and it certainly is in staff's mind, so.
Okay.
Other questions for Mike before I open up the public hearing? Thank you, Michael. We'll call you if we need you. At this time, I will open a public hearing. It's 7:29. I would hear from the applicant, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Scott Becker with Hodge & Associates, 405 South Washington. And really, as we're looking at this, we're trying to clean this up, and you'll see it in the next public hearings. But it's been kind of a goal of the zoning commission to clean up some of these areas that have multiple zones and kind of make them more conducive to one zone. And I believe that does it, really well with this one. So other than that, it really is pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy going on here. But I'd answer any questions if you have any.
I may not have some for you now, but maybe in a minute. Scott, thank you very much. Okay, I'll take any type of testimony on this. Those who are in favor or opposed and/or general comments, please come up and state your name and let us know what your concerns are. Okay, well, I don't see anybody coming up, so we'll close the public hearing at 7:30 and turn it over to council.
Seems pretty straightforward to me, and zoning cleanup of a multi-zoned area that will help it become developed more rationally. So with that, I'd move to approve the proposed zoning ordinance under suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings that be read by title and published by summary. And are we having a second action that's separate?
No, we can do and adopt the planning and
Okay.
zoning.
And also adopt the Planning and Zoning Commission reasoned statement of relevant criteria.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Art and a second by Sandra to approve the proposed zoning ordinance under the suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings and that be read by title and published by summary, and adopt the Planning and Zoning Commission's recent statement of relevant criteria. Any further discussion before I call for a roll? I will start with Brandy.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
And Maureen.
Aye.
Okay, so we do have a new zoning ordinance, and this ordinance is number 2021-19, an ordinance of the City of Moscow, Idaho, Municipal Corporation of the State of Idaho, providing for the zoning of a 7.56 acre property described in Section 1 of this ordinance as medium-density residential, R3, providing that the provisions of this ordinance be deemed severable, providing for this ordinance to be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law. Thank you, Mike, and this is kind of the Mike ratio tonight because he goes right into item number 7, which is another public hearing on Park Valley Addition, the preliminary plat.
Thank you again, Your Honor. This would be one of 2 subdivisions within this Phase 3 area before you tonight. This is a 4.59 acre area within Southgate 3rd, located east of the current terminuses of Granville and Castleford Streets. Mike Salisbury, of course, is the applicant, requesting a preliminary plat of the 4.59 acre area to create 12 lots, which range from 7,207 to 59,241 square feet in size. This particular subdivision or replat is being referred to as Park Valley. It was originally platted as Phase 3 of Southgate 3rd Edition, and the applicant's requesting a replat of the property. So just to overlay over that area, you can see the boundary of this proposed subdivision plat follows the red line there. I'm sure we're familiar with the area from the last application, just a closer view. And we have a contour map. So one of the reasons for the request before you tonight is challenging topography within that area. And so you can see all these contour lines here represent 1 foot of elevation change. And so you can see as it gains more of a bowl here as you head towards the park, but it gains topography as you head to the southeast, and then it ends up leveling off to a certain extent on that southeast corner. But really some challenging topography within that area, especially on the Castleford Street alignment within the current plat. We've discussed the comp plan designation, and then of course with the ordinance that the council just passed, the property would be R3. Brings us to the Park Valley preliminary plat. There are 12 lots, a little over 7,200 square feet to 59,241 square feet in size. Remind the council that the R3 zone, the minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet. Minimum lot width is 60 feet. It also includes the extension of Granville and Castleford Streets to a T intersection. And there is a proposed pedestrian sidewalk to Milton Arthur Park, located further down Castleford Street as well. So this is the preliminary plat submitted by the applicant. Please don't pay attention. These are actually the current zoning boundary lines. So those are what those represent. You can see the extension of Castleford Street. Granville comes in with the T intersection, ends up going further to the northeast. There's a temporary cul-de-sac turnaround here for fire code requirements. And this would be the location of the pedestrian path or the sidewalk, providing a connection from the end of the street there to that corner of Milton Arthur Park, which is located here. And you can see Sutton Street here as well. Total of 12 lots within this proposal. So once again, Granville, Castleford are local neighborhood streets. They're 28-foot wide paved roadways with curb gutter sidewalks on both sides and on-street parking on one side of the street. And then, of course, utilities are located in the area as well. Parkland dedication has been satisfied with a prior dedication, grading, and hydro-seeding of Milton Arthur Park, so no further dedication is required. And the Planning and Zoning Commission conducted the public hearing on August 11th of this year, recommended approval of this preliminary plat with no conditions. And staff's recommendation is, after conducting the public hearing and upon consideration of testimony received, approve the preliminary plat with the condition that a right-of-way vacation request be approved by City Council prior to final plat. So I'll need to go through that process. I believe that's been noticed for a public hearing at the council's next meeting to officially vacate the platted right-of-way. I'd certainly stand for any questions that you have.
Questions for Mike, Art?
It seems I always have a question for you, Mike. Could you explore a little bit more the nature of a temporary cul-de-sac? For example, why is it temporary and what is it destined for later, one would hope to be paved? Are there lots missing above this current stubbed off and temporary cul-de-sac area? What's going on up there?
The tag team after Art, could you make sure that you put the picture up there so we can visualize what it is that you're talking about at the same time? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, it would be this
Not
circle.
this one, I'm with the colored one. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, circle located in the northeast corner here. Once you exceed 150 feet for a city street, you're required for fire code to have a fire truck turnaround. Really the only city approved, well, there are hammerhead configurations, but typically you have a 96-foot cul-de-sac, which would be official turnaround. Within our city street standards, we do require temporary turnarounds to be paved at this point. In the past, some have been required to be gravel as long as they met the imposed loads of the fire truck apparatus, but our current standards require that to be temporarily paved to provide that turnaround.
So is there anything intended to be developed up in that corner?
The applicants can certainly speak to that. It's my understanding that the applicant plans to offer this property here. This is the larger one, the 59,000 square foot property, for sale and not develop it himself, but he can certainly speak to that. I mean, like we mentioned before, we wanted to ensure that there could be a proper turnaround that would fit on this property just because of the current terminus of the roadway there. And so certainly someone could purchase the property, or the applicant may decide to move forward developing that property, and certainly could go through a subdivision plat before the council in the future in order to divide that further.
So in essence, it's platted as one of the 12 lots.
Correct.
And that's just the access to get there. on a temporary basis.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
So there'll be no
Right.
houses then on the northeast section?
This would just be one lot. So under the R3 zone, certainly be entitled to a house or more than one on that property. But in order, it's just one lot right now as part of the proposal. So if they wanted to divide it into more fee simple lots, they would have to go through a subdivision plat process like we're doing tonight.
So then, Mike, that's probably the main reason then why I noticed in some of the planning and zoning minutes, it was commented that there are actually fewer lots with this plat than existed before, and it must be just because of that real large one that looks like it used to be
Certainly, yeah.
5 or something?
Yeah, I think it was 7 lots right now with Kismet Court, which is the cul-de-sac that's currently platted there. You can see the dash lines in the
Right.
background. 20 lots are as part of the entire proposal before you tonight, this subdivision and then the subdivision you'll hear in a second. And then 27 total for the currently platted Phase 3 of Southgate Third. So currently be a 7-lot reduction as it currently stands.
Okay. Other questions from Mike before we hear from the applicant? Maybe some that'll be cleared up. Maureen?
And you can save it to the next time. I don't remember now whether it was the Park Valley or the Sierra. It's the one that had the private streets in them. Do both of them have it or just the Sierra?
It would just be the next
Okay, great. Then I
subdivision,
have
the
questions
Sierra
on that one
Vista
when you
would
get
be
there.
the only one.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's open the public hearing. Thank you, Mike. It is 7:40. We will hear from the applicant, please.
Good evening. I'm Mike Salisbury. To answer your question, what I'd like to do is sell that piece to finance some of these streets.
The whole
That's
circle?
my intention with the corner piece, to sell that as one lot.
With that 59,000 square foot,
Yeah.
is what you're talking about, Mike?
So you would never make the cul-de-sac in there, is that correct?
Well, it sounds like I'm gonna have to pave a cul-de-sac just to get this built.
Yeah.
So there will be a cul-de-sac paved temporarily. So whoever I sell it to, they could either put a home there, or they might come back and replat it at council, and they would have to provide the fire turnaround.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. Well, thank you, Mike. We'll bring you back up here if we need you. Okay, with that, this public hearing is open, so if somebody would like to come up and speak, please come up and state your name and address and let us know what's on your mind about this. Okay, I don't see anybody coming up, so I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:42 and turn it over to council.
Well, I don't have anything. It reconfigures the road network in there a bit. The topography, as seems to be the case in Moscow frequently, is a little difficult, necessitating some alterations, I think. But overall, I think it makes sense and doesn't affect public safety in a deleterious fashion. So I'd like to move to approve the preliminary plat as presented.
Okay, was that to move it with conditions that was, Mike had said earlier, we had a condition on this, Mike?
Correct, Your Honor.
Just single family only?
It was the council approve a vacation request prior to final plat.
Okay, so amending the motion to approve with the condition that the right-of-way be abandoned prior to the final plat.
I'll
Okay.
second that again.
Okay. All right, so we have, Artist made a motion, Gina seconded that motion to approve the preliminary plat with the conditions as described by Michael Ray. Sound good to everybody? Yep. I'll start with Brandy.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
And Maureen.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Move on to item number 8.
How about number 2?
Oh, yeah, second.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a second action. Yep. You're correct, Art.
And I'd like to further make a motion that we adopt the Planning and Zoning Commission's reasoned statement of relevant criteria.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Art and a second by Gina to adopt the Planning and Zoning's Commission reasoned statement of relevant criteria. I will start the roll with Maureen,
Aye.
Gina,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
Art,
Aye.
and Brandy.
Aye.
Okay, now, we will move on to item number 8, which is a public hearing on Sierra Vista Planned Unit Development and preliminary plot. Mike Ray, you have the podium again, sir.
Thank you again, Your Honor. So this is the last component of this proposal before you tonight. This is a preliminary subdivision plat and a PUD, which is planned unit development. This is a 2.97 acre area within Southgate 3rd. And of course, Mike Salisbury is the applicant, requesting the preliminary plat and the PUD to create 8 lots, which range from 9,189 to 19,589 square feet in size, referred to as Sierra Vista subdivision. Once again, this is originally platted as Phase 3, Southgate 3rd Edition, and the applicant's requesting the rezone, replat, and PUD as part of the project tonight. So this would be the remaining area highlighted in red at the center of your screen. It's that more that hillside on the southeast portion of the property. And once again, the topography map showing the 1-foot elevation change, contour lines. Comp plan designation, auto urban residential, and then the R3 current zone. Brings us to Sierra Vista preliminary plat. There's 8 lots, 9,189 to 19,589 square feet in size. Once again, minimum lot size for R3, 6,000, width is 60. That includes the extension of Castleford Street. And then there's a private street with a hammerhead turnaround being proposed within this subdivision and PUD. The PUD includes 8 single-family dwellings. 6 building plans were included as part of this proposal. Those range between 860 to 4,319 square feet for the floor areas. Setbacks are typical for R3, so it's 15 feet in the front. Side are 5, but both sides have to equal 15, and the rear is 20. The applicant is proposing a reduction in the front setback, so to go from 15 to 10 in order to account for the challenging topography on these lots. PUD base density for R3 is 9.5 dwelling units per acre. There's 2.7 dwelling units per acre proposed as part of this proposal. So no density bonuses are required as part of this PUD. So that brings us to the proposal for Sierra Vista. You can see the Park Valley extension here of Castleford Street. And this would be the new private street, which is 20 foot in width, has a sidewalk on one side, which would be the north side of the street, accessing 8 lots. And terminating in a hammerhead configuration at the very eastern property boundary. Gives you an idea of building footprints of the proposed house plans that are submitted. And then these were the house plans that the applicant had submitted. The numbers correlate to the house plans, so you can see on the site plan those numbers represent the different house types here. So these are some elevations of the typical house, so it's pretty common for this area, for this style of home. And this would be the floor plan for this model. So you see in the bottom right corner, this one is 3,163 square feet for total floor area. Another one of the designs here. Similar style. And this one would be a little bit larger, so this is 4,319 square feet in size. And then another model. This one would be 2,805 square feet in size. 3 stories. And then this one would be the Riverview. This one's 3,916 square feet in size. And this would be the smaller, kind of longer linear house plan that would fit the challenging lot where you first enter the private street on the south side. That would be certainly the least amount of depth of any of the lots within this proposed PUD and subdivision. So this would be the building elevation, and this would be the typical floor plan and layout. And that's about 860 square feet of livable space on this unit. And then this brings us to the last elevation and floor plan. So we'd already gone over Castleford Street. It does transition with the Park View addition, so it goes from 28 feet to 34 feet, so it would include parking on both sides of the street. That would be the only difference. There are curb gutter sidewalks on both sides of the street with parking on both sides as well. Utilities exist and will be extended along those alignments. And as we discussed before, the parkland dedication has already been satisfied with Milton Arthur Park. The Planning and Zoning Commission did conduct the public hearing August 11th of this year, recommended approval of the PUD and preliminary plat request with 4 conditions associated with the preliminary plat. These are all coming from the engineering department. The first one is that public utility easements adjacent to the private street shall connect to public utility easements in the proposed Park Valley addition. The second was the proposed easements that contain storm and sanitary sewer lines shall be increased to 30 feet in width to provide adequate access and separation. Third is vehicular access shall be provided to every other manhole, which is currently not possible for the manholes at the rear of Lot 1. And the last, the proposed private street shall meet the requirements of City Standard Drawing Number 3, including but not limited to vertical and horizontal alignments requirements, fire hydrant access width requirements, and shoulder slope requirements. So with that, staff's recommendation is, after conducting the public hearing and upon consideration of testimony received, approve the PUD for Sierra Vista and adopt the Planning and Zoning Commission's reasoned statement of relevant criteria and standards, and approve the preliminary plat with the 4 conditions recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the additional condition that right-of-way vacation requests be approved by council prior to final plat, and adopt P&Z's relevant criteria and standards. And I'd certainly be able to answer any questions you had on this one, too.
Questions for Mike? Irene.
It seems to me that when I first moved here, we didn't really have private streets, and we've moved more into private streets. And can you help explain to me why we've moved into private streets and what the advantage and disadvantage of that is?
Well, private streets are almost exclusively associated with plan unit developments.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, they're located in areas where it could be challenging topography, like this property we're looking at tonight. Typically in areas where the city's street network isn't going to go through. So you typically don't have a public street, then a private street, and then a public street connecting to that. They're usually in those locations, but it's been really widely utilized probably over the last 10 to 15 years, especially in this area of the city. We have Folkestone development, we have Tampo Commons development, Green Acres, which are all within this area that all utilize private streets to serve those PUDs. So.
And we have not ever had any problems with the homeowners maintaining those private streets?
We have not yet, no.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Mike? Art?
Yeah, it says that the development is hooked up to the storm sewer, but does that imply that it goes to a detention pond or just into the general stormwater collection of the city?
It would go under the detention pond. There's currently one on Granville Street, and so it would all gravity to that pond, which has already been sized. They'll have to rerun some of those calculations just to make sure any additional impervious surfaces in this area is going to meet our stormwater control runoff standards, which is typical within our construction review, so.
Okay. And a follow-up, this is sort of a nitpicky bureaucrat thing, but do we have to include the modification of the setback from 15 feet to 10 feet as part of a condition, or is that implicit with the PUD?
That was just part of the application and the proposal, so that would be on the record and just implied within the approval of the PUD.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mike before I open the public hearing? Thank you, Michael. I'll open the public hearing at 7:54. We will hear from the applicant, please.
All right, good evening again. Scott Becker, Hodge and Associates, 405 South Washington. And as you can see, this kind of puts the last piece of the puzzle together tonight. I guess it's hard to describe all of it without, seeing the other ones first. But to go to Art's question about stormwater, there's actually less impervious surface with this plan than there would have been with the previous plan. So we'll still size make sure the pond is adequate, but that it's less impervious surface, which is a good thing. And to Maureen's question, part of the reason for a private street is you don't have to have parking on one side or both sides. You can narrow it down to 24 feet. Still have plenty of passing room, but not have the extended street width. So, but other than that, the topography is the reason that we kind of have this dead end street up there, the way it lays. So, other than that, I can answer any questions that you might have.
Randy.
So, it's kind of a general question, but yet specific to this. So at some point in the past, the original plats that we see underneath this were presented, and that's what was planned, and then time went on, and things now are changing. Is it just having more time, and in hindsight, looking and thinking about the things like the topography that maybe weren't initially considered extensively enough, and then you come back with, okay, this would even work better? I mean,
yeah, it really is. After having time to look at it, there was just, a lot of street frontage along the park that, it's hard to develop one side of a street without, gaining the benefit of both sides of the street. So that was part of it. But topography was really the biggie, as we looked at it, it really, the numbers weren't coming out quite the way previously was shown.
so I guess the nature of why that's sort of general, is that common? Then you kind of start with a particular plan, and then when you have more time to look into the feasibility of it, some things may change, and you come back to request a different
Not
plat?
really common. I think the problem was this sat on the shelf too long, and it,
Okay.
I think at the time, if it would have been dived right into with construction, there had been some additional retaining walls, some things like that. But, anytime you add, street surface or retaining walls, that's just added expense that you can't really recoup. And sometimes the retaining walls reduce the value of a lot. So it's better if we can do it with just some general grading.
Thank
Try to use the contours as they lay rather than change the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Scott.
Right,
We'll
thank
bring
you.
you back up here if we need you. This public hearing is open for anybody who'd like to talk on it. If you'd like to come up, give us your name, and we'll give you a few minutes to see what's on your mind with this. Nobody's rushing up, so I'll close the hearing at 7:58 and turn it over to council. We have 4 actions here before us this evening.
I was hoping somebody else would jump in, but I'll,
You're on a roll there, Art, keep going.
I make a motion to approve the PUD for Sierra Vista with the 4 stated conditions plus the right-of-way vacation stipulation.
Second.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Art and a second by Gina to approve the PUD for Sierra Vista with the PUD conditions as well as a right-of-way.
Excuse me,
Or you're gonna put that on
stipulation,
number
is that-
4.
I believe those conditions are associated with the preliminary plat.
Okay, so that'll be on item number 3.
Correct.
So really all we need is approval of PUD for Sierra.
Let's approve that.
Okay, this is approved, the PUD for Sierra Vista. Is that okay with the seconder?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we will start to roll with Maureen,
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Art,
Aye.
and Brandy.
Aye.
Okay, that takes care of number 1.
I would further move to adopt the Planning and Zoning Commission's reasoned statement of relevant criteria and standards.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Art and a second by Gina to adapt the Planning and Zoning Commission's reasoned statement of relevant criteria and standards. I will start to roll with Brandy.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
And Maureen.
Aye.
Okay, that's number 2.
Am I on a roll or what?
You're on a roll, Art.
Or
The ladies are gonna let you take over on it.
I would make a motion to approve the preliminary plat with the 4 conditions recommended by Planning and Zoning Commission, plus the additional condition recommended by staff in terms of the vacation of the right-of-way.
second.
Okay. We've got a motion by Art and a second by Gina to approve the preliminary plat with the 4 conditions recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission and the additional condition recommended by staff, which is a vacation.
Okay, no,
Bro-
so I'll have a little discussion for a moment. So I do have a question with the condition number 4. If that
Could you
ends up,
bring that up, please, Mike? On the- Okay, the proposed private street.
one more, probably.
Yeah, that would be the 4th condition for planning.
Proposed private.
Oh, yes. Okay, so the way it says, maybe this is a little bit of an older from a neighborhood meeting. For the private street, as road profiles were not provided, we recommend verifying to make sure it satisfies the requirements.
That's probably just from an engineering memo from Todd.
Okay.
So, yep. It was just based upon engineering's comments, just because of the topography there. Typically, that's during construction drawing review is when they determine that. But just wanted to reiterate that it needs to meet those requirements just because of the extreme topography.
Right,
in
so
the-
that makes sense I'm glad that they recommended that as a condition. So that just happens at some point before road construction, and if it's problematic, then that is dealt with at that time.
Yeah, it would
Doesn't
typically occur before final plat comes through, so construction drawings are required to be submitted and reviewed by the engineering department. Usually happens concurrently when they submit the final plat, just to make sure that the roads are gonna meet grade and all of the design standards are included within the roadway. And so this is just the natural progression of the process.
Okay, so implied in that is if it does not satisfy the requirements, then it can't proceed as,
Yeah, certainly
Okay.
it wouldn't be able to proceed with final plat until those design requirements are
Okay.
met.
thank you.
Okay. Any other further discussion? Everybody understand the motion? Okay, we'll start with Maureen.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
And Brandy.
Aye.
Okay, that takes care of 3.
And I would move that we adopt the Planning and Zoning Commission's reasoned statement of relevant criteria.
Okay, we have a motion by Art and a second by Gina to approve and adapt the Planning and Zoning Commission's reasoned statement of relevant criteria. We'll start the roll with Brandy.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
And Maureen. Okay, well, that ends that one. Thank you, Mike, very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
With that, we will move on to item number 9, which is First Amendment to the agreement to purchase a real property between the city and the University of Idaho at 118 East 4th Street. Gary Reedner is here to present. Good evening, Gary.
Good evening. Thank you, Your Honor. What you have before you tonight, as you recall, on September 7th, 2021, council elected to sell the current police facility located at 118 East 4th Street to the University of Idaho. That facility is being vacated in favor of the new police station, which is being constructed at the intersection of Highway 95 and Southview. So we had intended, and our construction schedule was such that we felt comfortable in putting a closing date on that original contract with the University of Idaho of November 15th, 2021. However, due to supply chain issues that we're become all too familiar with in these last several months, and other issues that caused by COVID-19, we have been unable to obtain the furnishings that have been ordered for that new police department, and we've been told it was an extension of almost 4 months. So we expect the ship date for those furnishings to be no later than the beginning of December, but of course that is after the November 15th date. So we are faced with a dilemma. Do we continue with the closing date? Do we move old furniture, into the facility? Because when you move new furniture in, it takes about 2 weeks to set it all up and get it ready for occupancy. With that dilemma, we approached the University of Idaho and asked them if they would be willing to delay the closing date for a sufficient time that we would be able to receive the furnishings, get them installed, and occupy the new police station, which we anticipate will be the end of December, the very beginning of January of 2022. The university had no issue with that, so what you have before you is the first amendment to that original agreement, which has a closing date no later than January 10th, 2022. You'll also notice in that First Amendment that there is a provision in there for if we are able to take occupancy of the new police station prior to that, that we give notice to the University of Idaho. They have a certain amount of time to get their funds to the closing agent, and we can close the property at that time. So very beneficial. We appreciate the University of Idaho's flexibility in allowing us to continue to occupy the current police station until we can move into the new one.
Any questions for Gary? Gina?
I'm going to make the motion. I'm not
Okay.
going to let Art dominate anymore.
All right.
I move that we approve the First Amendment to the agreement to purchase real property between the City of Moscow and the University of Idaho.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Gina and a second by Maureen to approve the First Amendment to the agreement to purchase real property between the City of Moscow and the University of Idaho. I will start the roll with Randy.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
And Maureen.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Gary, very much. That takes us to the end of our meeting this evening. We will go on and do reports. Art, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just the fire department that met. They tabled all of the Lexipol program, which is the program that develops standard operating procedures and legal guidelines for the department. They tabled the review of 10 or 12 different chapters on that one for next time. I guess nobody wanted to tackle all that at once, but they did approve the requirements for sign-up and training so that they can quantify the contributions of the volunteers to maintain their status as active duty EMS or fire people. So that one was finally approved and it's looking good for implementation. So those were the two big items that they undertook this last time.
Okay. Randy?
The Arts Commission met since our last meeting, and I didn't bring all my notes. I'm skimming this over, but some discussion about the Activities Toolbox Art Educator panel and reaching out to various people to be on that selection panel to review the requests for qualifications. There will be members from the commission, a community artist, a K-12 educator, and a university-level art education student. This Arts Commission, I know you all know, but many don't, they also break down into several different subcategories, and they have these other meetings. And there's the Arts and Culture Education Group, Events and Programs, Public Art, Third Street Gallery, and they are also doing additional meetings outside of just the monthly Arts Commission meetings. So they're giving updates there, including the next exhibits at the Third Street Gallery, The big thing that's happening coming up is the first expanded art walk that's going to be the third Thursday of every month is happening this month. And I believe there are 8 businesses that participated. And the goal of the director for this first one, she was hoping to have 7 to 9 participants. So she got her wish there. So everyone was feeling pretty enthusiastic about that. So.
Good. Sandra?
The Pathways Commission did not have a quorum, but happily we have a new commissioner, and I'm sure that that will change soon. And then the 1912 Center Development Committee met, and that was fun. And we put off meetings because we couldn't get everyone all together, so it was really nice to finally meet. Things are in the probably 5 weeks since I've been up on that second floor that they've been redoing. It's beautiful up there and very functional, which is great. They've already started doing some smaller functions up there. Looking forward to Winter Market. One of the changes that has sort of come about to meet the community needs has been the room that they were originally calling the Zoom room, which was going to be very electronic and very modern and very hip, is like flipped around a little bit. And now they're looking at it. The library overflow is up there right now, and they have a continual library book sale, all by donation. And they look to continue that. It's been it started off just as a help, and now it's really picked up. A lot of people just pop in to look at the books and take one, leave one, not leave a book, leave a donation. If you have books to drop off, you still do that at the library. The library will bring them over to the 1912 Center. So that's been great, and they plan to really kind of keep it that way, but still have a very smaller opportunity to rent out those rooms. If you want to have a meeting there, that still will be possible. But it's gone from electronics to more like a library function, and it seems to be a really smart move. The game room is almost done. They're just looking for a sink, and that looks to happen in the next little while, and that'll be good to go. So it was really fun to see that. If you haven't been up there, just go take a walk around. Doors are open now, and I think you really like it.
So Sandra, is Winter Market going to be on the ground floor as well as on the second floor?
That was my understanding, but I'm not for sure on that completely, but sort of what they're looking at, which is often the case. It's often on both, so, yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Sandra. Gina?
I have to tell you that both of my commission meetings happened in one grand extravaganza of an afternoon. First and foremost is the Intercity Transit Service meeting. That it's a subcommittee of the Transportation Committee or Commission, and we met to discuss, the Moscow Pullman route. And Elisa Anderson came and spoke with us about the funding that the state of Idaho brings forth and how they kind of think about things. And essentially the message was that the state's not really interested in contributing to a route between Moscow and Pullman. There is some 5311F that makes me sound cool. I don't know what that means, other than that it's a specific kind of funding that they do have, but it's such a small amount, and it just really isn't probably something that's going to work for this route. We also talked about the survey that we had worked on to kind of gauge interest in this concept, and we firmed that up, and then there's a letter that's with administration right now that it will be reworked and brought forward, hopefully this week, correct?
So the letter's been reviewed and prepared. We have not scheduled the next meeting of that subcommittee. It probably won't happen this week because of our 5-day notice requirement. So work on getting that scheduled here in the next week or two.
Okay. I was talking more about the letter being finalized.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the letter has been finalized, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a pretty awesome group. It's not the best of the Transportation Commission, but it's pretty awesome. So it's kind of nice to have them meeting, but maybe we need to take on another topic instead. But okay, after that, I met with the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission, and we are working on a survey for the community. It's a fair housing survey, and I think we're probably been doing this for, gosh, I don't know. I wish Amy was still here. She could tell me. I think it feels like 6 or 8 months, but essentially the discussion the other night has gotten down to maybe the last 3 or 4 questions that are specific to some of the same old questions that we answer every time, like what's your age demographic and what's your gender. And Olivia Moses brought forth kind of an interesting perspective on that. And so we had a pretty long conversation about when you say male and female, is it actually a gender identification, or, you know, what exactly that is. So it was a long conversation, but very interesting. So I anticipate we'll get to the point where we're done soon. We didn't pass really anything, but we had a lot of conversation. And we'll meet again, says here, November 4th. So that's all, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Gina. Maureen?
P&Z has been working on overtime, and they just took a break the last meeting. And Human Rights meets this week.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you. I've got a few things I want to remind everybody. We had a water summit October 21st from 6 to 8. It'll be a virtual, which is, this is the second year in a row, which would have been kind of nice to be able to fill up the room in Schweitzer with several hundred people, but it will be virtual. Amy Vickers is the keynote speaker, and she's from back east, a pretty brilliant lady, so it would be interesting to see what her comments and take on things are, and so that's exciting to look forward to. I've got an airport board meeting on the 27th, more to report on that later. I will say, got to talk about the homecoming this previous weekend. They had a ribbon cutting at the new arena, which I was a part of, and what a wonderful, beautiful looking facility for the University of Idaho, and it is a huge plus for the university in this town, and it's probably the finest in the Northwest. It is just absolutely amazing. And with that, talking about ribbon cutting, there is ribbon cutting on the 19th at Target. Ladies and gentlemen, a long-awaited Target store will be here, and it will be open, so that's kind of an exciting thing to have. And that's all I have. Gary, do you have anything this evening?
No report, Your Honor.
Okay, I would entertain a move to adjourn. Let's roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, we will adjourn at 8:15, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.